Guys, there is no part of the country or the world that is immune to natural disasters. Whether it's a hurricane, a tornado, earthquake, fire, tsunami, whatever it is, there are dangers that lurk all around. And one of the big things about that is communications are vital for survival. Whether it's knowing that it's coming, whether it's once you're in it, how to communicate with not only those around you, but maybe those outside of your area. And so we're going to start out with the phone. But the problem is the phone is not something that you can totally rely on, especially in a situation where cell towers could be damaged and or a lot of incoming calls or outgoing calls are jamming up the signals. And you could be in an area that just doesn't receive signal that well. So we're going to take a look at a number of different things that you can use for getting in touch, staying notified in a survival situation. Because again, guys, no part of the community, your nation, your world is immune. Now guys, obviously the phone is your device that you have with you at all times. And so being able to utilize this in a survival situation is important. One thing that I like to do is to go into my settings, then I go into my notifications. So whether I have an iPhone or an Android, it should be the same. Here at the bottom of notifications, at least on the iPhone, is where they have emergency alerts. This way I'm alerted if there is like a tornado or a hurricane or some kind of danger in the area. My phone will automatically notify me that there is a problem. And that's one of the big things about, for me, is a lot of times I'm not watching the weather, I'm not paying attention, I'm doing something completely different, and this will give me advance warning. So this is really the first step and the most easy thing that you can do to know that danger is coming your way. Now for the iPhone, you go into settings, there's emergency SOS. You're going to click on that. One thing that this does is it sets you up to be able to notify someone in a dire situation. And here you can see on the iPhone, you click this 5 times, this off and on button, just click it 5 times and it will immediately notify authorities. And so that's a great way to be able to, set up, especially if you need help, if you need to get the word out. And then also there is an automatic call. You can set up your preferences different ways, even let them know some of the things that could possibly be happening, where your location is, things like that. But again, whether it's the iPhone or the Android, I'm sure they have similar responses. But this is just a little hidden thing to help you in case you have an emergency. And one thing that's important is to have your numbers written down. Yes, we have our numbers in our phone, we can get to them, it's easy to find. But what if you drop your phone in water? What if your phone's damaged? What if it's destroyed or lost? If you have that book, you can get in touch with your loved ones. One of the big things years ago, before cell phones, you memorize numbers and you could just dial them out. With me, because I have a contact list, I have to really watch to make sure I even know my kids' numbers. So it's very important to have those numbers as a backup. Now, while small little transistor radios like this have fallen out of favor, these are vital to get information, knowing where information's coming in case your other modes of communication are down. You can get onto a weather station, you can get onto regular news to know what's going on around you, especially if your internet's down, you can't get on your computer, maybe your TV's out, maybe you're in an area where it has a lot of damage. And so having a small little transistor radio going, of course, this runs on some AA batteries, so I can just keep those handy. And it's got a small antenna, so I can bring this out and get a little more range. But this is very inexpensive, and this is a great thing to have to keep up with what's going on. Now, something that I bought a few years ago, and you can tell this one has been through the ringer. This is a weather AM/FM radio. It also has shortwave, which makes it nice, has the Red Cross, is certified. There's a number of different things, of course, AM, FM, and then shortwave here. This is a great little system. It does have a light attached, so it's really made for emergencies. But what I love about this is it has a little crank on the side. So I can actually, if my batteries run down, I can charge this up. They even have some that have solar backup, which I think is a great idea. You also have your antenna and everything like before, and then having batteries for this makes it a little easier than having to crank it. But this is a great item to have. There's a ton of these out. In fact, you can get on Amazon and find a number of different ones. This is the Eton. I don't think they make this model anymore, but just a great item to have. Now, having a way to keep up with those that you're with, whether it's your local family, if your phones are down, I want to get in touch with, some people that are just real close by. Having these little portable radios is just an excellent way to keep in touch. And so there's a lot of different things you can do with these, and these are just family radios. They're very inexpensive. These actually are rechargeable, so I can put them on a charging base, but you can also keep extra batteries in case you need them for a long time. There's a ton of different styles and sizes and features, but this is something that's fairly inexpensive that if you need to get in touch with someone that's fairly close to you, you can stay in communication. Now, the standard for communications is the ham radio. This is just a small portable ham. One of the things you've got to have is a license, a ham license, and there are different levels. There's a lot of places that typically administer classes and being able to get your license. Now, one thing, if you're using this without a license, you can be triangulated and found and charged. Now, in an emergency situation, that goes away. You can use the ham radio in an emergency situation without a license. One of the great things about this, they do have weather on here. You can monitor it regardless of a license or not. So I can just turn this on, go to certain channels, and I can see what's going on, especially with local, because you have a lot of people, especially ham operators, talking back and forth, and you can kind of see what's going on around your area. And then with the right equipment, you can really get it out there. And I have a buddy of mine that's about 50 miles away that I can communicate even with this small little ham radio. Because of relay stations. So ham radio is a skill. It's something out of all of these that takes a lot more preparation, but something very good to have. And really these Woshens or some of these other Baofengs or whatever, they are very inexpensive. This is a rechargeable, and there's a lot of features to it, but of course the sky's the limit. I've got a buddy of mine that has, you know, his shack, his radio shack, and it's got all kind of different ham thing. He can talk to people around the world and has all these antennas and everything, so you can go any way you want to. But for the average person, having something about like this would at least give you a lot of advantages. Guys, it's not really that expensive to have some backups for your communications, and so make sure that you're prepared. Make sure your phone's ready. Make sure that you have some other options just in case. Now guys, if you have a small little, whoops, that sinks. Now in case you're, now having some, it is one of the best resources on the web